Beneath the choking haze of a battlefield long since forgotten, a single iron door creaks open. Behind it lies the sound that no creature of sense ever wishes to hear, the wet laughter of something pretending to be a doctor. The air stinks of blood, rust, and victory. Somewhere, a saw blade is warming up. Inside, the walls drip with moisture, not from rain, but from the condensation of breath and agony. Rusted hooks swing from the ceiling, each carrying its own half-finished miracle. To an outsider, it would look like madness sculpted in metal. To an orc Painboy, this is science. The Painboy himself lumbers into view. He's huge even for an orc, skin dark green and slick with oil. Goggles hang crooked across his face, one lens cracked, the other glowing faintly from some stolen power cell. His coat, or what passes for one, is stitched together from the hides of fallen comrades and the banners of defeated enemies. It smells like infection and pride. He grins wide, teeth yellow as brass casings, and slaps a blood-soaked slab with his palm. "Oi, you lot ready for some proper fixin'?" A dozen grots scatter like rats as he laughs. In the far corner, a table rattles, something strapped there moves. Its breathing is uneven. Its arm twitches, replaced with a mechanical claw that clicks like a metronome. Sparks fly. The Painboy wipes his hand on a rag that used to be a flag of the Imperium. He doesn't notice the skull still embroidered on it. "This," says the voice of the narrator, low, reverent, almost academic, "is not a place of healing. It is a place where the concept of better means only more dangerous." The Painboy moves between his creations like a priest in a cathedral of gore. Each table is an altar, each organ a relic. He adjusts a pressure valve with his elbow, tightens a bolt with his teeth, and pulls a lever that makes a nearby orc jolt upright and scream with laughter. "See, he's laughing," means it worked. The camera pans across the room. There's a metal cage with bones stacked like trophies, a jar labeled brains, maybe still good, a grot sweeping with a mop made of vertebrae. On one wall, a crude diagram sketched in blood. Plan 4, De Better Orc. The outline shows a massive body with too many arms, too many eyes, and a heart the size of a generator. Everywhere you look, the idea of pain is celebrated, not avoided. Pain is proof that you're alive, that you're getting stronger. The orcs believe suffering is a kind of evolution, and the Painboy is their prophet. He picks up a chainsaw scalpel, a tool that hums with unholy enthusiasm. "This one's for opening up the tricky bits," he mutters, revving it once. The air vibrates with its growl. Behind him, another orc groans from the table. The Painboy doesn't check if the subject is still alive. That's not really the point. A grot approaches timidly, holding a clipboard made of scrap metal. "Boss, we's running out of screws again." The Painboy squints. "Then use nails, you git. Nails hold better." The grot nods nervously and scurries off. The sound of hammering begins immediately. The narrator continues, voice calm and clinical. "Among the orcs, there are no universities, no academies, no ethics boards. There is only instinct, repetition, and the memory of violence. A Painboy is not taught medicine. He learns it the way an orc learns everything, by trying, failing, and laughing about it later." One table shakes violently as a patient begins to thrash. The Painboy frowns, pulls a lever, and a surge of electricity floods the body. The orc jerks, screams, and then to the Painboy's delight roars, "Wah!" The lights flicker. The Painboy wipes his hands, grinning ear to ear. "See? Fixed him good. Now he's got spirit." The camera drifts to a corner where half a dozen orc heads stare from jars, their eyes still moving faintly. A small servo skull buzzes past, its imperial heraldry burned off and replaced with crude glyphs. One jar's occupant speaks. "Boss, am I better yet?" The Painboy looks over, thoughtful. "Not yet, lad, but you will be." He scribbles something illegible on the wall beside it. There's no sense of mercy here, only progress through mutilation. Painboys believe flesh is just another kind of metal, something to weld, carve, and shape until it fits their idea of strong. Limbs are interchangeable, hearts are optional, and blood is simply lubrication. A siren goes off, not an alarm, just a reminder that another patient has arrived. The Painboy stomps over to the door, opens it, and drags in an orc, missing half his torso. The creature is still trying to fight, swinging wildly. Perfect, the Painboy growls. Means he's still got spirit in him. He slaps the slab, grins, and begins to work. Metal clashes with bone. Sparks fly. The soundtrack swells low percussion, mechanical groans, a rhythm that mimics a heartbeat. The narrator's voice lowers, almost a whisper. In a galaxy where death is constant, the orcs have discovered something worse, a kind of immortality that refuses to learn mercy. The Painboy hums a tune as he works. It's off-key, nonsensical, but somehow cheerful. He welds, slices, replaces, and laughs. To him, this is joy. To everyone else, it's horror. And when the light flickers for the last time, we see the newest creation rise. An orc stitched from a dozen others, eyes glowing, body trembling. The Painboy steps back, admiring his work. Look at that, beautiful, ain't it? The camera pulls away slowly. The workshop hums like a living thing. The Painboy turns toward the viewer goggles gleaming and says, "Now, who's next?" The screen cuts to black. The narrator's voice returns, cold and reverent. In the hands of an orc Painboy, life itself becomes a weapon, and every scream is a hymn to their god of madness. The grot's cart squeals as it rolls across the stained metal floor, every turn of its wheels leaving a trail of black oil. Upon it lies an assortment of objects that defy definition, halfway between tool and weapon, halfway between invention and insanity. Blades with jagged teeth that still twitch, syringes filled with fluids that shimmer between colors not meant for mortal sight, and hammers so large they seem better suited for demolishing bunkers than healing bones. The Painboy gestures proudly, spreading his massive arms as if revealing a sacred altar. "Here's where the real dokin' happens," he declares, voice thick with pride. The Humies got their shiny clinics, the Elder got their floating gizmos, but we got this. He slaps the side of the trolley, and half the instruments rattle like an orchestra of death. The camera pans in on his workstation. It's a slab of reinforced steel welded to the remains of a Lehman Russ tank turret. The surface is covered in dried blood, teeth, and bolts. Chains hang from the ceiling, each one terminating in a hook, a clamp, or something that could be either. The lighting comes from flickering lumen strips scavenged from Imperial ships. Some glow cold blue, others flare red like open wounds. In the center of it all sits the Painboy's favorite instrument, a chainsaw that's been grafted to a bone saw, powered by a grot pedaling furiously inside a wheel generator. The Painboy pats it fondly. This one's called Dar Smiley. Always makes him grin, one way or another. The grot inside the wheel coughs. "Boss, me legs hurt." "That's the spirit," the Painboy roars. "Means you're working." The narrator's voice enters again, smooth and cold, like a scholar examining madness through glass. In the eyes of the Imperium, a medical instrument is a device of mercy meant to preserve the spark of life. In the hands of an orc, it is a declaration of dominance. A Painboy does not save life. He rebuilds it, reshapes it, redefines it according to his idea of better. The Painboy rummages through a drawer and pulls out a jar. Inside floats something pulsing an orc heart connected to wires, still beating. The liquid surrounding it bubbles faintly. He shakes it like a snow globe. "Still good," he mutters, grinning. "This one'll fit right in a knob. Bit big, but that's the fun part." A grot assistant tiptoes closer, holding a long syringe filled with glowing green liquid. The Painboy snatches it, studies it against the light. "This the one what makes the blood move faster. If they ain't bleeding, they ain't breathing." He slams the syringe into a metal arm on the table. The fluid hisses through the pipes, and the limb jerks violently, claws clenching. "See, perfect." Sparks erupt from a nearby generator as the Painboy kicks it into life. Tubes pump steam, gears rotate, and the entire lab begins to vibrate. From the ceiling descends a mechanical claw, rusty, uneven, trembling yet precise in its movements. "Da grabber arm," the Painboy explains, "for holding things that scream too much." He demonstrates by grabbing a wriggling grot and suspending it midair. "See? Keeps 'em still while I think." The grot squeals. "Boss, I's not broken." "That's why I's practicing," he replies with genuine excitement. The camera pans across the walls, revealing dozens of schematics drawn in blood and oil. Some show orcs with 4 arms, others with built-in flamers for mouths. A recurring image depicts an orc with a glowing mechanical brain labeled, "Da perfect boy." The narrator murmurs again, voice edged with grim fascination. The Painboy dreams of perfection. To him, pain is not failure, it is progress. Every scream, every snapped bone, every burnt nerve teaches him something new. In a universe built on war, evolution belongs not to those who survive, but to those who refuse to die. A loud metallic clang echoes through the lab. The Painboy turns, muttering, and drags a massive object into view, a crude operating table made from a downed dreadnought's chassis. Upon it lies his next patient, an orc whose torso has been replaced with a series of mechanical pistons and armor plates. Tubes pump green fluid through his veins, and his jaw has been replaced by a buzzsaw. The orc groans, voice mechanical, distorted. "Boss, it hurts." The Painboy nods approvingly. "Good, means you're feeling it." Pains the body saying, "Oi, still alive." He picks up a drill, the size of a power fist, flicks the trigger, and the sound fills the air, shrieking, vibrating, primal. The light flickers violently, and the shadows stretch across the walls, taking shapes that seem to whisper and move. Then, silence. The Painboy steps back, breathing heavily, covered in grime and glory. "Dat's dat," he says proudly. "All fixed. Gonna make the next wah look proper flashy." The camera tilts upward, following the rising steam, and catches sight of dozens of mechanical limbs hanging from above, twitching faintly, as if remembering the flesh they once belonged to. The narrator concludes softly, "In the galaxy of Warhammer 40,000, life is cheap, but creativity is eternal. And in the twisted hands of an orc Painboy, even death can be recycled into something far, far worse." Fade out. The faint sound of a chainsaw revving one more time echoes through the dark. The metal doors swing open again, and the Painboy's voice echoes down the hallway like thunder made of laughter. "Next patient." Inside, the lab glows a murky green from the lumen strips that hang at crooked angles. The air trembles with the smell of burning oil and singed meat. Somewhere deep in the room, something screams not in pain, but in confusion. They come in waves. Orcs missing arms, grots dragging each other by the ankles, a knob with a bullet lodged halfway through his skull who insists he's fine. Each one limps, bleeds, and grins. They are here because they believe in the Painboy, because to them, fixin' hurts, but it works. The Painboy surveys them like an artist studying his clay. "Right, line up. Who's losing a leg? Who wants two?" He slaps a table with a hand the size of a hammer, and metal instruments clatter to the floor. "Don't all shout at once, ye gits, one at a time." The grots whisper nervously in the corner. They are the non-volunteers, though the concept of consent doesn't mean much here. One of them tries to sneak out through a vent, but a mechanical claw drops from the ceiling, grabs him by the leg, and drags him squealing back into the light. The Painboy chuckles, shaking his head. "Sneaky one, eh? We'll fix dat." He straps the little creature to a slab and begins attaching wires to its head. Sparks pop like fireworks. The grot convulses and smokes faintly. "See? Already smarter." In the corner, a wounded boy waits his turn. His chest is wrapped in torn banners, his breathing shallow. He mutters, "Boss said I's gotta be back by morning." The Painboy nods, pulling a blood-stained drill from the table. "You will be, lad. Maybe sooner, depending on how fast this thing spins." The sound of the drill drowns everything for a moment, a shrill, grinding shriek that turns into laughter. The Painboy hums along, his goggles reflecting the spinning bit. The boy's eyes roll back as metal meets bone. When it's over, the orc sits upright, blinking, a new metal plate bolted across his chest. "See? Told ya. Good as new." Then he sneezes, and a puff of steam escapes from the seams in his armor. "That's normal," says the Painboy proudly. "Means you're ventilated." The narrator's voice returns, low and calm, cutting through the chaos. To the Painboy, a patient's body is not sacred. It is a puzzle. Every scar is a loose screw, every organ an opportunity. Whether they live or die is irrelevant. What matters is that they change. One by one, the wounded step up. Each leaves less human, less orc, more something else. A knob with a new arm that ends in a spinning blade flexes and laughs. A grot with steel ribs crawls across the floor, muttering nonsense. In the back, One of the Painboy's older creations beats on the wall, screaming to be let out. The sound is like metal being torn apart from the inside. The Painboy ignores it. "Can't fix everything at once," he says cheerfully. "Patience is for humies anyway." As another orc is strapped down, he looks to the camera and grins, teeth gleaming in the flickering light. "Dis bit's me favorite." He raises a syringe glowing with neon green fluid. The tip drips like acid. "Dis'll make 'em stronger, or explode. Either way, that's a result." The injection hisses. The subject jerks violently. A moment of silence, then the orc roars, smashing the table in half and laughing through the pain. The Painboy steps back, arms wide like a preacher. "Ha, say, science." The narrator concludes softly. "In the Imperium, medicine preserves life. Among the orcs, it mocks it. The Painboy's patients do not recover, they mutate. They are not healed, they are reborn into something only he can love." Steam rolls across the floor, swallowing the scene. Somewhere in the haze, the Painboy's laughter echoes again. Next, the lab is quieter now, or at least as quiet as a Painboy's workshop can ever be. The generator hums like a beast in its sleep, and the flickering lumen lights blink with the rhythm of a heartbeat. The air is thick, a mix of steam, grease, and the faint sweetness of spoiled meat. In the center, the Painboy stands before a line of his most recent successes. Each one breathes, each one moves. None of them look the same. The first, a knob rebuilt with piston-driven arms, flexes experimentally. His fists clank like hammers striking an anvil. The Painboy nods. "Stronger than before," he mutters, scribbling something onto a strip of skin nailed to the wall. But when the knob laughs, the sound is distorted, half metallic, half animal, and sparks shoot from his jaw. The laughter doesn't stop, it just loops, a broken machine trying to remember joy. Beside him, a grot lies twitching on the floor, tiny legs replaced by mismatched wheels. It spins in circles, screaming gleefully. "Eyes faster now, boss, faster!" The Painboy grins proudly. "See? Progress." The narrator's voice slips in, low and deliberate. Among the orcs, mutation is not an accident, it is a goal. The Painboy's patients are experiments in flesh, where every improvement carries a curse, and every success births a new kind of monster. A massive silhouette shifts in the corner. It was once a boy, now it towers, its spine exposed, vertebrae connected by copper wiring. Steam leaks from vents in its ribs. The Painboy gestures at it proudly. "Dat one's me masterpiece." Runs on teeth, roars on rage. The creature tilts its head, confused, and slams its fists against the wall until it cracks. The Painboy doesn't flinch. "See? Energy output increased by 30-something%. That's science." The narrator continues, almost whispering. "To the Painboy, suffering is data. If a limb fails, it means the next one can be stronger. If the heart stops, then perhaps the engine should replace it. Flesh is raw material, and pain is simply proof that the experiment still lives." Across the room, one of the newly fixed orcs begins to cough. Smoke pours from his mouth, his eyes glow red, and a faint whine builds from within his chest. The Painboy looks over, nods once, and ducks behind a table. The orc explodes in a shower of meat and gears. Silence. Then the Painboy pops up again, wiping grime from his goggles. "Note to self, less pressure next time." He laughs. A grot joins in nervously, the sound swallowed by the hum of machinery. Another orc, with a bolter grafted into his shoulder, aims it at nothing and fires a burst straight through the ceiling. The Painboy cheers, delighted. Functioning perfectly. Bit wild on the trigger, but that's just enthusiasm. The narrator's tone darkens. There is no control here. Only curiosity without consequence. The Painboy is not cruel, he is sincere. Every shriek is an accident he finds fascinating. Every corpse, a lesson learned. In the back of the lab, a new sound rises laughter. Not the Painboy's, not the groats. It's deeper, wet, bubbling through the throat of something that should not be alive. The Painboy turns, curious, and sees one of his earlier patients crawling from the shadows. Its limbs bend the wrong way. Its eyes have multiplied. "Boss," it says, voice layered, echoing. "It hurts, but it feels good." The Painboy watches, then tilts his head and smiles. "See? Finally getting the hang of it." He picks up his saw again, its teeth already stained green. and gestures to the others. Right then, who wants the same upgrade? The lights dim. The machines groan. The screams return, some in terror, some in joy, until they merge into a single, endless sound. The narrator's final words drift through the chaos, calm and reverent. In the Painboy's hands, life and death are not opposites. They are tools. Each patient a canvas, each scream a stroke of genius. And when the work is done, the galaxy itself will remember that pain, I can dream. Fade out. The hum of the generator becomes a heartbeat again. The screen fades to black. The next scene opens not with a scream, but with laughter deep, guttural, wet. The kind of laugh that shakes the lungs and makes the metal walls rattle. The Painboy leans against a table, wiping blood and oil from his goggles. Around him, the lab hums like a nest of hives, filled with the sounds of moving limbs, leaking pumps, and whispering pipes. Ethics, he says aloud, tasting the word like something foreign. That's a funny word. What's it mean, eh? Something humies say when they don't want to get the job done? He chuckles and slams a spanner down onto a skull, not in anger, just to hear the sound. See, orcs don't need no rules. We just need results. A grot nods nervously beside him, scribbling notes on a sheet of flayed skin that serves as paper. Uh-huh, boss. Results. Yeah, exactly, the Painboy growls, jabbing a thumb into his chest. De boss says fix de boys, make 'em fight better. So I does. Dat's ethics, dat is. Doing what you're told. What could be more moral than dat? He laughs again, louder this time, the echo bouncing off the walls like gunfire. Behind him, one of his patients wakes up mid-surgery, an orc knob with half a face made of brass plates. The knob blinks, confused, tries to speak, but only steam hisses from his throat. The Painboy pats him on the head gently, almost kindly. Don't worry, lad. Y'all be talking soon. Or maybe screaming. Either way, that's communication. The narrator's voice returns, calm and academic, as though describing a natural disaster. Among the orcs, there is no word for cruelty. To them, pain is neither punishment nor tragedy. It is proof. Proof that something is happening, that the universe is still turning. That flesh can still fight back. The Painboy wanders over to a wall covered in bones, trophies, and sketches drawn in soot. He picks up a femur and uses it to stir a bucket of glowing green sludge. See, dis right here. Dis is the future of medicine, he says proudly. Ain't about saving lives, ain't about ending 'em either. It's about making 'em louder. He turns, his single glowing goggle reflecting the camera. What's the point of a boy that don't shout when he's hurt, eh? If he's quiet, how we gonna know he's still fighting? Behind him, a grot drags a tray filled with tools, each shaped like something that should never exist. Bone merged with metal, drill bits carved from teeth, scalpels made of shattered glass. The Painboy gestures toward it proudly. See that? Each one's a work o' art. Made 'em myself. Nothing says love like craftsmanship. The grot stumbles, spilling one of the jars. The liquid splashes across the floor, sizzling. A faint whisper escapes from the puddle. Voices layered, crying, laughing, begging. The Painboy sighs, disappointed. Now look what you did. Dat was me favorite batch of thinking goo. The narrator's tone darkens, almost sorrowful. In another world, this creature might have been a scientist, a genius without boundaries. But here, in the nightmare of Warhammer 40,000, intellect without morality is the truest horror of all. The Painboy doesn't hear the words, of course. He's humming again, cheerfully tightening bolts into someone's spine. A mechanical whir answers him, followed by a choked gasp. There we go, he says, satisfied. That's teamwork. A grot timidly asks, Boss, what if they don't want to be fixed? The Painboy freezes, turning slowly. His smile widens. Don't want to be fixed? He leans close, breath hissing through yellowed tusks. Lad, everyone wants to be better. They just don't always survive it. He straightens up and slaps the grot on the back hard enough to knock him over. Now stop asking the silly questions and hand me the cranial saw. He grabs the saw, flicks the switch, and it roars to life, a mechanical hymn to his faith. Around him, sparks rain down like holy fire. The light glints off hundreds of jars, filled with hearts, eyes, and memories. The narrator whispers, reverent and cold. He believes he is doing good. that every scream is a step toward perfection, and in a way, perhaps he is right. For in the galaxy of Warhammer 40,000, mercy is the rarest madness of all. The Painboy raises his saw like a relic and begins again. The hum grows louder. The lab fills with laughter, smoke, and the rhythm of metal grinding through bone. And somewhere, deep in the darkness, one of his creations whispers half awe, half terror. Dadok, he never stops. Fade to black. The sound of the saw lingers, echoing like a sermon. The sky burns green. The air stinks of promethium and fungus. And somewhere between the thunder of guns and the roar of engines, the Painboy's lab moves. Mounted to the back of a looted truck, its metal walls shake as the vehicle speeds across the battlefield. Bolts rain down like confetti, and sparks burst from the weld seams. Grots cling to the sides, screaming with delight and terror in equal measure. The Painboy stands tall atop the moving fortress, one foot planted on a crate of surgical tools, the other on a living patient who's still mid-operation. "Keep her steady," he bellows, soaring through a knob's shoulder while the truck hits a crater. "Can't fix a boy if he's bouncing all over the place." The driver, another orc with one arm made entirely of pipes, laughs and swerves harder. "Steadies for Humies, boss." Inside, the lab is chaos incarnate, part ambulance, part torture chamber, part holy shrine to madness. Sparks dance across the walls, steam hisses from punctured tubing, and through it all, the Painboy's saw sings its metallic hymn. The narrator's voice cuts through the chaos, low and reverent. The Painboy's work does not end in the safety of a workshop. It follows him to the battlefield. For orcs, war is surgery, and every wound is just another opportunity for improvement. An explosion rocks the truck, sending grots flying. The Painboy doesn't even look up. He slaps a metal plate onto the knob's chest and hammers it in place with a wrench the size of a femur. "Dare? Good as new," he shouts, as the knob sits up with a roar, sparks shooting from his shoulder. The knob looks down, confused. "Boss, me arm's got a gun on it." "Exactly," the Painboy cackles. "Now you can fight and reload at the same time." The camera pans outside the truck. The battlefield stretches to the horizon, a storm of explosions and gunfire. Orcs charge through the smoke in waves, their war cries mixing with laughter. In their midst, the Painboy's mobile clinic barrels through, crushing corpses and wreckage beneath its wheels. A wounded boy waves as they pass. "Doc, me legs off." The Painboy leans out the hatch, still holding a bloody wrench. "Which one?" "The left." The Painboy grins, hurls a spare limb at him. "Dare, try that one." The boy catches it. It's clearly the wrong size, but he jams it into place anyway. Sparks fly. The limb twitches, then locks. The boy laughs and charges back into battle, kicking the nearest enemy apart. The narrator's tone darkens slightly. In the Painboy's eyes, the front lines are not a place of death, they are an open-air laboratory. Every blast, every scream, every broken limb is a gift, and every soldier, willing or not, becomes part of his grand experiment. Another explosion tears open the side of the truck. A grot screams as a piece of shrapnel impales him to the wall. The Painboy sighs and walks over, wrench in hand. "Quit your squealing. I'll patch you up." He pulls the shrapnel out, replaces half the grot's torso with a metal plate, and screws it tight. "Dare. Stronger than before." The grot blinks, voice trembling. "Boss, me arm don't feel right." "That's 'cause it's a spanner now. Don't drop it." The Painboy turns as a shadow looms, a Chaos Space Marine, monstrous and horned, charging straight at the truck. The Painboy's grin widens. Finally, a real patient. He leaps from the vehicle, landing in front of the Marine, chainsaw whirring. The Marine swings a chain axe. The Painboy ducks, jabs his saw into the creature's thigh, and roars with glee as blood black and boiling sprays across his goggles. "Your bones is weird, Humie. Too much metal, not enough fun." The Marine snarls, backhands him, breaking half his teeth. The Painboy spits out blood and laughs, louder than ever. "Oh, that's the stuff! I feel alive!" He lunges again, soaring through armor and flesh. The Marine howls, swings again, misses. The Painboy grabs a syringe from his belt and stabs it straight into the wound. The liquid glows, hissing like acid. The Marine stumbles, convulses, then collapses as the serum eats through his body. The Painboy wipes his goggles. Science wins again. The narrator's voice lowers, filled with grim awe. He does not fight for victory. He fights for discovery. The battlefield is his classroom. The dead, his textbooks. Every body that falls feeds his understanding of how to make the next one rise. The Painboy drags the corpse back to the truck, shouting orders. Right, lads, strip to metal, keep to bits that scream. Grots swarm over the body, prying open armor, sawing through limbs, stuffing trophies into sacks. When the battle finally fades into silence, the Painboy stands amidst the wreckage. His lab smolders behind him, full of twitching shapes and mechanical groans. The horizon burns orange with the setting Sunday. He wipes his hands on his coat, still smiling. Dat was a good day's work. Got plenty of spare parts, plenty of ideas. The camera zooms in as he looks up his goggles, reflecting the dying sky, his grin wide and honest. Now, who's next? The narrator's final line echoes through the smoke. In the hands of an orc Painboy, war and surgery are one and the same, and in the grim darkness of the far future, there is no healing, only the joy of breaking things better. Fade out, chainsaw hum, a heartbeat mechanical, uneven, eternal. The war is over. Or maybe it isn't. For the orcs, the difference doesn't matter. The field is quiet now, quiet in the way only aftermaths can be. The wind hums through shattered tanks and broken banners. The sky is the color of smoke and dried blood. In the middle of it all, the Painboy's truck has stopped moving. Its engine still growls, coughing sparks, but it's going nowhere. The wheels are half melted, the armor dented and scarred. Inside, the lab flickers with dying light. The Painboy limps through the wreckage, his coat shredded, his hands soaked in a mix of oil and blood. One of his lenses is shattered, the other still glows faintly green. He hums a tune under his breath, something between a war chant and a lullaby. On a metal slab before him lies a body, bigger than any he's ever worked on. A war boss, his war boss. Big lad took a nasty one, the Painboy mutters, poking at the hole in the war boss's chest, where something the size of a tank shell went clean through. Heart's gone, spine split. The head's, well, mostly there. He pauses, then smiles. But that means more room for improvement. He cracks his knuckles and reaches for his tools. The lab comes alive again, saws spinning, pumps wheezing, tubes writhing like serpents. Sparks flare against the metal walls. The narrator's voice returns, soft and reverent. Every great creation begins with failure, and every orc believes that death is just another excuse to rebuild. For the Painboy, this is not madness, it is purpose. He works for hours, maybe days. Time loses meaning. The battlefield outside fades into twilight. The Painboy replaces the warboss's spine with a length of reinforced iron tubing. He wires its ribcage with copper coils. He stitches the flesh back together using cable instead of sinew. You see, he says to no one in particular, the secret ain't just fixing the broken bits. It's making the bits remember why they broke. That's how you keep the fight in them. A grot assistant nervously approaches. Boss? Dat don't look right. The Painboy turns, his grin too wide. Course it don't look right. If it looked right, it wouldn't be orky, would it? He slams the defibrillator paddles made from 2 power claws onto the warboss's chest. The body jerks. Once, twice, then stills. Nothing. The Painboy frowns. Come on, lad. Don't make me look bad in front of the grots. He charges the paddles again. This time, the light blinds the room. Energy arcs through the air. The entire truck shakes. The grots scream. And then, the warboss moves. A low growl rises from its chest. The cables strain. The wounds glow. Slowly, the massive creature sits up, eyes burning with unnatural green fire. The Painboy's grin stretches from ear to ear. There he is. I knew you wasn't done. But the warboss doesn't speak. It doesn't roar. It just breathes heavy, mechanical, and wrong. The glow in its chest flickers rhythmically, like a second heart made of lightning. The narrator's voice cuts in, trembling with awe. Something stirs within the corpse. Not life, not death, something between. The Painboy's masterpiece. His first true success, and his last mistake. The warboss turns its head. Its eyes, bright as torches, lock onto the Painboy. The grin fades from his face. "Boss?" he says softly. The war boss stands towering, immense, taller than any orc has the right to be. Its movements are stiff at first, but then they flow unnatural, precise. Steam bursts from its joints. A deep, rumbling voice echoes from somewhere inside its chest. "Pain, boy." The Painboy freezes. "Yeah, boss. That's me. Yeah, fixed me. Course I did. All me work, top notch. You better than you." The war boss takes a step forward. The ground cracks under its weight. The green glow inside its chest flares brighter, pulsing like a star about to die. "Better," it repeats. "Better than you." Before the Painboy can speak, the war boss's hand shoots out a mechanical claw the size of a door and grabs him by the throat. The Painboy laughs through the choking. "Huh, always knew you had spirit." The narrator whispers. In that moment, the Painboy understands what every god must one day learn, that to create life without limits is to invite something greater than yourself to end you. The war boss lifts him off the ground. The Painboy's goggles crack. The lights flicker again. Then, the impossible happens. The Painboy's grin returns. Wait, I can fix this." With his free hand, he jams a syringe into the war boss's neck and injects a vial of glowing green fluid. The war boss howls, the air rippling with psychic energy. Sparks rain down from the ceiling. The truck's hull begins to melt. The Painboy screams, not in fear, but in joy. "It's working! It's working!" The explosion consumes them both. For a long moment, there is nothing but fire and silence. Then, through the smoke, something moves. The war boss crawls from the wreckage, still glowing, still alive, but its face has changed. One eye burns with red light, the other flickers green. It picks up the Painboy's saw still humming and looks at it for a long time. The narrator's voice returns, calm and final. He sought perfection, and he found it not in creation, but in contagion. For the spirit of the Painboy does not die. It multiplies. Every cut, every spark, every drop of orc blood carries his laughter now. The cure has become the plague. As the war boss marches into the smoke, grots and half-living experiments crawl after him, their voices rising in a broken chant. "Fixed our boys, fixed our boys, fixed our boys." The saw ignites one last time. Cut to black. The sound of laughter echoes metallic, eternal, unstoppable. The battlefield is silent now. What remains is not victory, not defeat, only the echo of something new. The smoke still lingers, glowing faintly green in the twilight, and from within it rise shapes that should not exist. Shapes born of oil and blood. The war boss, or what used to be one, stands at the heart of it. His body is a cathedral of rust and sinew, a monument built from the Painboy's final lesson. The saw still hums in his grip, low and steady, like a mechanical heartbeat. Around him, the survivors crawl through the mud, grots, cyborgs, half-built monsters stitched from wreckage. They whisper to each other in broken voices, their words carried on the wind like a prayer. "Da Doc fixed us. Da Doc made us better." The narrator's voice returns quiet, reverent, heavy with dread. There are no saints among orcs, only those too mad to die. And yet, in the dark corners of the galaxy, a story begins to spread of a Doc who found the secret to eternal fighting, who could fix any wound, heal any death, and turn pain into power. The war boss turns his gaze to the horizon. The light of distant explosions flickers in his hollow eyes. He doesn't smile, he doesn't speak, he simply raises the saw. The grots fall silent. The orcs that still live begin to gather. He carves a symbol into the ground, a crude skull with wires for veins, surrounded by a ring of jagged teeth. The glow from his chest pulses through the earth, setting the mud aflame with green fire. The narrator continues. The legend of the Painboy grows, spreading faster than infection. It moves through the spores, through the wounds of the dead, through the metal of their machines. Every orc that bleeds remembers his name. Every scream becomes a sermon. Elsewhere, across distant stars, strange things begin to happen. A mech hears laughter echo from his engines as he works through the night. A weird boy dreams of a green sun beating like a heart beneath the soil. And on the fringes of reality itself, something new is born, a whisper in the warp, shaped like an orc's grin. Back on the battlefield, The war boss, the first disciple, begins to speak. His voice is mechanical, fractured, yet filled with awe. "De doc showed us the way," he growls. "De body's just a start. De pain's de truth. De fix never ends." The orcs roar in agreement, their chants rising like thunder. "Fix da boys. Fix da boys. Fix da boys." The ground trembles as more of them gather, hundreds, then thousands, each bearing scars, metal limbs, glowing wounds, each one a sermon in motion. The war boss raises his saw high, and the green fire spreads like a storm. The narrator's voice deepens, carrying the rhythm of a prophecy. And so begins the gospel of pain, a faith born not of mercy, but of endurance, a religion of iron and infection, where pain is proof and perfection is wrought. Images flash in the firelight, a grot priest welding a skull to his own face, an orc cutting open his chest to install another heart, a mech chanting prayers to gears that still bleed. The line between machine and flesh dissolves completely. Somewhere, across the stars, Imperial agents intercept the broadcasts. The images arrive distorted, impossible. The Mechanicus declares them heresy. The Inquisition calls it a plague of belief. But belief, once born, cannot be purged. The Painboy lives on, not in body, not in soul, but in idea. His laughter echoes through the cosmos, carried by every spark, every scream, every drop of oil that stains the galaxy. The narrator's final words fade into the darkness. In the grim darkness of the far future, there is no salvation. Only the faith that pain brings progress, and the laughter of gods who bleed. The saw whirs one last time. The screen burns with green light, the symbol of the dock glowing like a wound that refuses to close. Then silence. Fade out. Text on screen, in jagged serif font, flickering like dying neon. The gospel of pain. He fixed the boys and broke the universe.